Hi, my name is Rajesh, and I am the founder of InnerChef. I'm also the founder of GSF Accelerator, which is India's #1 technology accelerator. So I'm going to spend next 20 minutes talking to you about two passions of my life. First 5 minutes, I want to talk to you about what I think is changing in the world of food. And I'll spend next 10 minutes talking to you about India, what's changing in India. Uh, think how we ate food as humanity 100 years ago. Think what was the food scene of Tokyo or any city that you came from. I would submit the good food was available only to a few people 100 years ago. It was only available, I would say, to the top echelons of each society. If you went out in Tokyo 100 years ago, you would have found only a few restaurants. Eating out was a great experience. Look at the Tokyo of today. I went around when I was in Tokyo to every market. There are restaurants after restaurants, not just of Japanese food, but food from all cultures. So let me submit to you that never before in the history of mankind, human palate has opened the way it is open now. Humans are now experimenting with newer foods like never before. 100 years ago, we were eating the food that was produced in the local community, and we are happy with it. But with the advent of travel, media, and technology, now all of us are yearning for newer food experiences. And it's resulting in this explosion of new restaurants. And that's a mega trend. This is a mega opening of human palate. The second trend, as you think about, which is being caused by the millennials, the young people of the world, is this idea of eating better. And this idea is getting deep-rooted into the society. We now want to eat farm to fork. We want to eat healthier food. And this is again a global mega trend, and it's happening markets after markets. And the last big trend is the role of technology. 1/3 of Instagram photos are of food. 1/4 of what gets discussed on Facebook is again food. Now, with this phone on our hand, we want food on demand. We want food to be available to us like never before, whenever we want, wherever we want. And this again is a mega trend. New brands, multi-billion-dollar brand, maybe trillion-dollar brands will get built on these three insights. One, human palate is opening. Second, we want to eat better, healthier food. And third, the role of technology. But that was my food talk. But what I'm really excited to share with you today is a little bit about what's happening in India. And that's the insight that I want to share based on my last 10 years of having worked in startups, founding a company, investing now in 70 different startups in India. Size does matter. India is now the last big frontier available in the world. And why India? And these are the reasons that we all know. It still is the fastest growing big economy of the world. Youngest population in the world is in India. 600 million people are below the age of 25, and that's a lot of people who are coming into productive life. And finally, the point that I wanted to make about was this is the only economy where this kind of digital adoption is happening. And last 6 months have been leapfrog months. And let me explain what has changed in India in the last 6 months. First of all, there is a new telecom operator which has come and challenged the status quo. And for last 6 months, it's been giving free mobile broadband, 4G to every Indian. So India, which was known 6 months back as the deficient country on mobile broadband, has leapfrogged to become the #1 broadband consuming country. That's a big, huge leapfrog that has happened in India. The second is the whole idea of payment. I go to Japan, I go to 7-Eleven, I go to many, many shops, I'm asked to give cash. In last 6 months, we've leapfrogged from cash economy to cashless economy, and that has happened again because of a new startup, a new challenger, Paytm. Paytm had 10 million users 6 months back. It has now 100 plus million users. It's backed by Alibaba. Again, a big change in the way India will pay in the future. And finally, 200 million new smartphones got sold in 2016 in India. These are 3G, 4G enabled phones. So let me sort of say, massive adoption of smartphones, massive adoption of broadband, coupled with payment infrastructure is causing a perfect storm in India. And why is that happening? Because government has played a supportive role in enabling the fintech. Remember I spoke to you about rise of digital payment. What has happened? At the fundamental level in the last 10 years, an identity system has been put in place which verifies anywhere, anytime, which allows eKYC, which allows UPI, which allows DigiLocker, and which allows e-sign ability for every Indian. This, in the context of 1.5 billion people that India will have over the next few years, is a massive infrastructure creation for digital adoption. And this is kind of opportunity has never been presented to humanity for investment. And that's the promise of India. Little bit of talk about what's happening on the startup side of India. If you look at India, there are now multiple hubs of startup innovation. The biggest hub is in down south in Bangalore, where massive investment has gone. Big new companies like Flipkart, Ola are now based in Bangalore. Lot of new startups are coming every day. The second big hub is up north, which is a tri-state of New Delhi, Gurgaon, and Noida. Again, massive new capacity for startup creation, startup support has been built in last 5 years. And the third big hub is around the financial capital of India called Mumbai. All these three ecosystems are now maturing. In the last 5 years, we have seen the rise of, I'll just share, not only of angels. When I started investing about 7 years ago, there were 10 of us. Now there are over 1,000 active angels and 10,000 registered angels. And that's a massive new source of capital that has been provided to do a startup in India. This infrastructure did not exist at the turn of the century. This is also seen massive amount of new capital that has gone into India in last 5 years. SoftBank itself has already committed over $1 billion. Tiger Global has put another $1 billion. And look at what's happened. In 2010 to 2017, most of the action was around e-commerce, and three big companies, Flipkart, Snapdeal, and ShopClues, have created massive wealth for its employees and its investors. In payments, Paytm is a new big company which has come out of nowhere in 3 years. It was like a failed sort of a startup which has now created a wealth of $5 billion in 3 years. In taxi hailing, Ola, again multi-billion-dollar company, travel, make my trip, and classifieds just dial. And let me take a leap of faith and say, what has happened in last 7 years will happen in next 2 years. We'll see another 5 to 10 unicorns getting born by 2020. And by 2017, I predict 50 new unicorns will come out of India. And that all is happening because of the three things I shared with you. First, massive adoption of smartphones. 200 million new smartphone users. Massive adoption of digital payment and fintech opportunities. And finally, massive adoption of mobile broadband with new infrastructure creation by a company called Jio. So, where do we go from here? If last 7 years have defined Indian ecosystem around e-commerce, I think the Indian ecosystem is now taking next leapfrog beyond e-commerce. And next decade will belong to health tech, fintech, entertainment media, education, B2B, enterprise tech, food and agriculture. Another big strength of India is going to be artificial intelligence and machine learning, because we have such a massive technology base thanks to our technology services companies which are working with most advanced technologies across the world. AI, ML, deep learning are game changer, new technologies in which Indian startups will play a huge global role. And finally, there is a maturity of capital, rise of micro VCs, family office, angel investors, and venture debt. So if you've not invested in India, if your business is not in India, I suggest very strongly that you come to India. India is far more open market, especially compared to China. India is English speaking. Indian laws are very open and transparent. Whether you are an investor or whether you are a startup or whether you are a business person, India is going to be the last big opportunity in the world. So with that note, I'm delighted to say that Japan and India have built strong, close relationships over last 10 years. It first started with automobile industry, but now it is moving into technology industry. At the forefront of this movement has been a company called SoftBank, which has taken big bets in India and is going to pay off in multiple ways in coming years. But not only SoftBank, multiple other companies, including BNext, Rebright Capital, MNS Fund, and I know at least 15 such funds who have now set up active investment program to invest behind Indian startups. So this is, to my mind, a great era of Japanese and Indian collaboration that is opening. We are also looking at possibilities of collaboration between startup ecosystems in India and Japan. Indian startups are looking for Japan as a new market. Similarly, Japanese startups who are looking for a new world market, there is a huge market waiting for them in India. So with that, I want to thank you. I want you to think India. I want you to invest in India. I want you to do business in India. And I'm happy to help you along the way if you have any queries. Thank you very much for listening to me.